Hey, what's happening there, everybody? My name is Haydn Adams with A Designer Who Codes. In today's show, I want to talk about how to create a form in Gatsby using React Bootstrap and how to connect it to Netlify's forms. And with that, let's get started. All right, welcome back. What is up, ADWC Nation? This video actually comes in the form of a question from a comment I got from a different video. I made a video a couple weeks back about how to build a basic form in Gatsby using React Bootstrap. And someone asked, hey, how about a video showing how to incorporate Netlify Forms with React Bootstrap? I have a Netlify form working with a homemade vanilla form. And if you don't know what the vanilla term is, I really have used this in terms of React Bootstrap has called their generic HTML not React version vanilla. So if you ever hear me say vanilla, that's non-React JSX language. And what I'm working on here is JSX/React. So the question was, I have a Netlify form working with homemade vanilla form, but not with React Bootstrap forms. So what I thought I'd do here today was actually show off how to create a form. I'm going to close this little window right here. I've got a form right here built in React. Check it out. It's got a form. It's got some rows, and I am using React Bootstrap. It's got a form group, first name required, last name required, and how can we help you online with a text area. So I did make all three of these required just because, well, I wanted to. So if we just go ahead and test it, if I type in my first name, Haydn Adams, how can we help you online? I have no idea. What'll happen is if I just click this, it just kind of goes back an endless loop because we haven't connected this yet to Netlify's forms. Netlify Forms, I gotta say, if you ever had to deal with building forms in the past years, they can be really troubling because you have to parse the data, set up almost some area to hold the data, and eventually, if you want the email back to get the data, then you have to set that up as well. So forms have been not my most favorite thing to do as a web designer. It's just, they're annoying. And Netlify has solved this. I swear, I shouldn't swear, this is a video, but Netlify has made my life so much easier. As if I wasn't already happy enough to use React Bootstrap, Netlify Forms have done that. So let's go in and talk about how to connect Netlify's forms with this form right here. So what I have to do is a lot of work starts in the form area. And this can be uppercase or lowercase form. It depends how you're building your form out. But because I have an uppercase word, I had to define the form inside the React Bootstrap area. So I said form, here it is. So what I have to do is first give the form a name. And what I'm going to do here is inside this form area, I'm going to just hit the return key and drop it down. So I have an area to type inside the form. And this just improves readability. So I have to first give this a name. I'm going to say name equals contact v1. I'll explain the v1 a little later and why I do this a lot of times. What kind of method is this form going to be? Is it going to be a get or is it going to be a post? A get, for example, is a Google form. When you type into Google, you get results. In this case, I want to post my information into my form. So I'm going to say method equals post, not port, post. I'm also then going to say data Netlify, if I can type, my coffee's still kicking in, and I'm going to say true. And I'm also going to say on submit equals, if I can get the right quotes there, submit. All this really does is just add an extra layer that says, you know what, submit it when I click the word, type submit. That's all it does. So I have four pieces into my form. I have name, method, data Netlify, and on submit equals submit in this area. If I save this, let's take a look and see if it kicks into Netlify one thing at a time. Now I am using my little sandbox. You could have seen me do this in the past. So if I go and log in, let's head to Netlify. And there is my sandbox. I am not hooking this sandbox up to GitHub. So just as an FYI, I'm dragging and dropping this all the time. And if you are watching this video, you may or may not be seeing this actual project on my sandbox. I change this one up all the time. Let's do a Gatsby build and let's see if this actually starts the process. Now we're not done yet, but one thing at a time needs to get done for it to work. I'm gonna go ahead and build this little version of Gatsby and we're done. So let's go and take that public folder. And if I go and find, it is under tutorial videos. It's actually under Gatsby demo 34. I thought I had the folder open, but I guess I did not. All right, public folder. So all I'm gonna do is the great part about Netlify 2 is you can just drag and drop your files, which is pretty cool. Did I not drop it correctly? There it goes. For some reason, it didn't like the first drop. All right, uploading, published, awesome. So if we look at our project, sandbox, designerwhocodes.com, it looks like this. So how do we know if Netlify is seeing this form or not? What we have to do is we have to go into the forms area inside of our website. Inside of forms, notice it says active forms and contact V1. Notice how the name of the form is contact V1. What you'll also get is, let me pull up my email for 1 second. In my email, I had to find the right email, so I had to pause the video for 1 second. I got this email from Netlify. Netlify, you've started using forms on sandbox-ADWC. I named the website sandbox.adesignerwhocodes for my little subdomain piece for my sandbox. And it's like, hey, you can receive up to 100 submissions per month and allow you to upload files with forms totaling up to 10 megabytes per month. So in theory, this is going to work. So let's give it a try and see what the heck happens when I submit this form. So if I go to home and I say first name is Haydn, last name is Adams, this is only a test, and I submit this form. Oh, what just happened? Nothing. Where did, that just was, I don't know what just happened. So it didn't work because we haven't set up any parameters yet of this to work. So the verified submissions and spam submissions don't show any information. And that's because we haven't defined enough variables inside our form yet to submit the data properly to Netlify. We told Netlify, hey, this is just basically a contact form and data Netlify is true, but we haven't told it what fields of information in which to submit the information from. So we next have to add a second input type or a hidden input type. After the form, I'm going to add something that says input type hidden. This is not going to be shown, but this helps actually send the data into Netlify. Type hidden, name, I can just say form name for this one, and value is going to match the name of the form. So I'm going to say value contact V1, and this is a self-closing tag. So the input type goes right after the form. I'm going to save this. I'm going to do a Gatsby build. I'm going to resubmit this up into Netlify. I want to work and say just so you can see how things start working and start working and start working. So production deploys, I'm going to go to that section. It's hopefully going to build. This runs in about 34 seconds, 35 seconds when I last tested this, so it should go pretty fast. Again, if you want to hook this up to GitHub, you can essentially type in git add star. You can then say git commit, and you can git push the data, and that'll then process it through the traditional channels of the GitHub into Netlify. I'm going kind of just a manual route of a build and a drag and drop. That's why there's no actual notes in this area. So if I use the public, I drag it in, uploading, published. Let's go. I'm going to close that window. I'm going to open up a new sandbox. And now I'm going to say first name Haydn, last name Adams. Help you online? I have no idea. Let's submit this form. Hey, check it out. Awesome. Now we have a thank you. From Netlify, your form submission has been received. Back to our site. Awesome. So let's go and look for that form submission. So inside the overview, I'm going to head back into the forms area and active forms. Cool. Last submission. I'm doing this at 7:59 in the morning. So there it is a few seconds ago. Click on it and where is it? So there's two worlds. There's a verified and there's a spam submission. And it thinks it's spam because this is what it got back. There's no data. Well, there's no data because I didn't declare the actual fields in how Netlify wants me to declare them. There's no information down here that says what these fields are. So by default, the submission came through, but the data didn't get passed. So what I have to do next is I have to add a couple bits more of information. So inside this form, what I have to do is give it a name. And inside of React Bootstrap, it's under form control. So under form control, where it says first name, I'm going to say name equals first dash name. Then inside the last name, wait for it, I'm going to say name equals last dash name. And then down below, it's going to be under form control as the text area. At the very bottom, what I'm going to do is say name equals info. So now I've given names to these three pieces. How can we help you online? Last name and first name. Let's save this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it from V1 to V2. Whenever I change the fields, I always change the contact or the version number. And whoa, that was just what did I do? Oh, I just scrolled down too fast. There we go. So version 1, version 2, and version 2. So now I have name contact V2 and contact V2. So repeat the process again. I'm going to do a Gatsby build. And now these fields are full of information because it says first name, last name, and info. And in Netlify, I'm going to come back to my forms and head over to deploy. Once again, old school drag and drop. You've heard me say this before, but I do recommend the GitHub route versus the drag and drop because you have version control and you have notes, and there's nothing better than coming back and actually reading something that says, I changed my CSS on this deploy, or I changed XYZ on this deploy. Cool. It is saved. Run it again. Public. Drop it in. Uploading. Published. Let's see if it says V2. There it is. Contact V2. So we know that Netlify saw the form and it's now changed from V1 to V2. Also, just so you know, is the end user will never see these words, so you can name them whatever you want. You can call them Big Bird. I just name them version 1, version 2, because that way I know if I change something, it goes into a third or fourth or fifth. So let me close this window. Let me come back to overview. And what I'm going to do is then say, okay, let's head back to our website. This is version 2 that we're on. So once again, now we're on contact V2. First name, Haydn. Last name, Adams. This is only a test. I hope it works. Submit this form. Yay! Okay, we got to the stage before. We were really happy where he said thank you, but did the data get passed through? So once again, we're going to head over to Forms, and Contact V2 did receive a submission. And check it out. Now the verified submission shows up. First name shows up as first name, Haydn. Last name, Adams. And info, this is only a test. I hope it worked. Awesome. We got our forms working that easily through Netlify. If you are satisfied and you're like, this is all I need to know, awesome. What I do want to do next is I want to take you through also how to set up a spam/honeypot And also, how do I get emailed this information? Because it's great that someone sent me some information, but I'd love to get notified via email as well. So if you're all set and you're like, this is what I needed to get, perfect, you can end this video. But I'm going to go a little farther past this for a couple options in Netlify. So what I also want to have happen is I want to get notified via email that someone sent me a form info. So inside my settings, you'll find an area called Forms. And in the Forms, down towards the bottom, you can get form notifications. Notifications in the way of a Slack, an ongoing webhook, or an email notification. So a new form submission, and you can also then say, you know what? There is my email. And what you can also do, which is pretty awesome, is if you have multiple forms and you've got a bigger organization, you can say, I want information to come from just contact V1 to be sent to me or anybody else, or I can just say any form. That's also why I wanted to name contact V1 and contact V2, so you can see that there's technically two forms. Once it's there, it never goes away, so you can't get rid of them, but just know that, okay, I want to say any form, and I'm good to go. And now when I save this, it now can email me the information. So what can happen is when I send my information and I say, you know what, let's read this one more time. So back to our site, and let's submit this with John Smith. This really works. Submit this form. Thank you. There we go. And we're going to go back to our form at the very top. And we should have now our two submissions. And if I pull up my email on a different screen, so let me do this. Let me do this. And note how this email says first name, John, last name, Smith, and info, this really works. Now do note that it did come from form responses at netlify.com. If I set up an email in my form, and you can watch my previous video on how to set up an email form, the email will show up inside of this responder area if you actually had it set up to go. Now, of course, form submission from contact V2 form, John. So it took the first name and put the piece up there. If you want to have one field for first name and last name, it'll kick it up there. And info, this really works. So what it did was Netlify emailed me the response from John Smith and said, this really works. That's pretty freaking fantastic. So the last thing I want to do is also add a little honeypot or a way to catch spammers in the act. Because you have a form that is open to the public, that means anybody, including bots and spiders and anybody that is really running malicious runs on the internet, can just spam the bleep out of you. And let's fix that right now. So what I want to do is I want to create a honeypot. And what a honeypot does, it catches any bots that just run through all the forms in the code and fill something out. So I want to create an invisible field that a bot would fill out, but a human wouldn't. So inside this form area at the very top, I'm going to say data Netlify honeypot equals bot dash field. So I want to create an input that is called bot field. So after the input type of hidden, what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say p tag, and I'll explain this in one more second. I'm then going to say label to make something really simple. And I could also, did I spell label right? There it goes in that area. I could say form dash label, but honestly, no one's going to see this part because it's going to be invisible. So I just made it really easy to fill out. So what I'm going to say is, don't fill this out. This is basically in case someone were to see this, don't fill it out. But of course, this is for the bots who don't read it and just want to fill it out. I'm then going to say input name equals bot field. Once again, nothing crazy. No one's going to see this unless someone were to go through your code and go, hey, someone wrote an invisible field. So check it out. P, label, and save. Now, why did I put the P tags in there is because I need to eventually hide it. So if we go back, of course, I have to save this. I have to build it. I probably should have ran a Gatsby develop, but you know what? I didn't. So you know what? Let's just do a Gatsby. Let's do a Gatsby develop. Let's show this in the making, in the process. So what I want to do is I want to put something in here that I can at least have a bot fill out. And I want to explain what I did, a little bit of a trickery piece that works with React Bootstrap. And you could write this in a different way, but this just makes it so much easier, and why I put P tags. You can add a div tag to all this, because what I eventually want to do is I want to hide this. I don't want to show this in this way. And so I had to wrap a tag around this area. I just used P tags because I typed it in one time. You can say div. You can say whatever you want around this. It doesn't matter to me. It all depends how you have your coding built. But for me, I just threw P tags in this to make it easy. Again, this is all invisible code. The rest should all be visible. So it's up to you how you want to have it done. All right, let me just save this. And let me go to my local host, which is right here. Cool. So localhost, don't fill this out. So by default, if I were to fill out this field right here, it would go into spam. So I don't want to fill this piece out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say P space hidden, if I can spell hidden correctly. And all the hidden is going to do is, once it goes away, is just hide it. Hidden is code. So if we actually head over to Chrome, and let me pull up my local host. Give me one more second. And I thought I had it pulled up. There we go. So all that hidden piece does, this is part of React Bootstrap. If we go looking for it, we have to go find it now. This should be fun. It's around here somewhere. I thought I had it right in front of me. Container, here it is. There it is, the form. And input type is just going to be called hidden. So this is just a form variant you can use by just typing the word hidden inside of it as well, and it just hides it. That's all it does. And so the P tag I meant to go down here is the hidden. The word for hidden says display none in the reboot when it comes to React Bootstrap. So it's a little kind of a cool little tag. I was reading the wrong input piece. I meant to say P hidden in this part, but the P hidden says display none and makes it important, so it just makes it all disappear. Again, you can say div, you can say whatever word you want. I've just used P in the past I just picked a random letter, and one letter is less than 3 letters. So that's how I did it. So what'll happen is, if I then come back over here, that this will be hidden. And what I'm going to do is I will stop this, and let's just run this to make sure it still works. And again, because I can't fill that piece out, that I'm ensuring that any normal human who, of course, I don't even know how, it would take some work to accomplish this, but any normal person would not be able to fill out the bot field, and so it's going to work fine. This is almost like a CAPTCHA or a way to kind of block just annoying responses that were sent in by spam. So it has built the form. We'll do the old school way again of, let's do a deploy. And I'm going to drag the public in. And there we go. Uploading. Published. Sandbox. A designer who codes. Let me close this one. And John Doe is going to submit this. Please help me. And submit this form. Thank you. Your form submission has been received. Let's head over to Forms, Contact V2. Please help me. John Doe, info, please help me. It's working fine. And nothing's going into the spam submission. So far we got that piece working as well. Now, one piece of information of why I'm also numbering these pieces from Contact V1 to Contact V2. If I were to add another field, so let's just say, you know what? I'm going to add a second form group. And I'm going to say, what is your favorite color. And we call this one for our name, color, and placeholder, choose a color, any color. If I change the fields in which I'm working in, you have to change the name of the contact because this form only has 3 fields. So if I add a fourth one, you're never going to see that fourth field. So in this case, I have to go contact v3 and contact v3 because I added a fourth field to my contact. So as an FYI, it'll never work. I'll never get that last bit of information no matter how hard I try if I don't actually change the name of the contact. And that's why Gatsby build. And that's why I name my contacts or any of my forms V1, V2, V3, because I just know that if I have to change a field or add or replace, or if I'm working with a client that says, you know what, I don't need this certain drop down, then all of a sudden I have to go, oh man, so I have to then go back up to the top and just change the number. It's not difficult, but when I first started working with this, what happened was I was like, why am I not getting this change? It worked once, but not twice. And so all I have to do is now come back up to submissions, come back up to deploys, and once again, you're going to hear me say old school one more time and upload the information. I'm going to close this and we will go one more time to this one just to see it happen. And now it is. What is your favorite color? I don't know why I have a text area versus a field, but hey, what the heck? So let's say Jane Smith. I'm good. No help needed. It's blue. Submit this form. Thank you. Your form submission has been received. And now we have, if we go back to our forms, contact V3. And there it is. I'm good. No help needed. And now we see first name Jane Smith, last name, or first name Jane, last name Smith, info I'm good, and color it's blue. And sure enough, if we come back and look at my email, that there it is. First name Jane, last name Smith, info I'm good, and no help needed. Color, it is blue. Now, one last thing to also be aware of that is you noticed when I submitted it, where is it? It just gives me this default Netlify looking page. Thank you, your form submission has been received. Now do be aware you can actually change this if you want to. I'm not going to build the page, but if you do want to create a custom thank you page, you can also write the word action equals, and you can say success or success thank you, and build a thank you page or a, hey, this has been submitted. And what I just do a lot of times, I just duplicate my contact page, take out the form, and just say thank you for your submission. That's all it really does. It's nothing big on that piece, but just you can also add an action if you want to inside your form to create a success page for your form. And this is how you can connect Gatsby and React Bootstrap to Netlify Forms. So ADWC Nation, did you get a form to work through Gatsby, React Bootstrap, and Netlify's forms? If so, leave me a comment. Let me know if this helped you in your web design development experience. As always, I'm Haydn Adams with The Designer Who Codes, and my mission is to help you create better websites through code. If you loved this video, give me a thumbs up. If you especially loved any other of my videos, I'd love for you to subscribe as I'm growing this channel, and I want to help all designers become better web designers through code. Thank you so much for watching.